Hey everybody, this is Kyle Fowler with Go Easy Aerobatics, and today we're going to do a quick little walk around on my little long easy here that we fly for air shows. So we're going to kind of start at the front, and we're just going to work our way around the airplane, talk about a few things, some of the interesting parts about the long easy and what's different about it, what makes it so unique and such a cool plane. We're going to start at the front. We've got Aircraft right on the canard. They are one of my sponsors. I love Aircraft. They painted this beautiful paint job on this airplane. The reason we went with yellow is because no matter what, at any air show you go to, if it's a blue sky or if it's overcast or if it's a little bit hazy, the yellow always pops. So it was very strategic going on the color for the plane, and Aircraft did an amazing job. Absolutely love it. One of the weird things about it, like, the whole airplane is just kind of backwards, right? The engine's in the front, the tail's in the back, or sorry, all the way around. Engine's in the back, tail's in the front, and it's just kind of weird that way. But the guy who designed this airplane was Burt Rutan. And Burt Rutan, that guy was absolutely incredible. The way he looked at airplanes and everything he did was very unconventional, but it all made a lot of sense to him. On a normal airplane, you're pulling the tail down to make the airplane go up. Burt didn't like that idea. There's more induced drag, it's not as efficient. So Burt decided, why don't we put the tail on the front and lift the nose up? Let's lift the nose up to go up, which makes a whole lot of sense. It makes it so that this canard is actually a lifting surface, and it adds to the glide ratio. So it's a really cool idea, very, very interesting. So the only thing that's different about the controls, the control inputs are the same, but the elevator actually operates backwards from a conventional plane. So when I pull back on the stick, this goes down instead of up, and if I push forward, it goes up instead of down. The inputs on the controls are the same, but the operation of the elevator is backwards. So that's the only real, well, there's a couple weird things about it, but that's the only real difference with the fundamentals of the canard. But also, by putting the tail in the front, by putting the canard on it, he was able to design it in such a way that the canard always stalls before the wing. So we call it an unstallable airplane. You pull back on the power, you pull back on the stick, you slow down, the canard stalls first, the nose drops, the plane speeds up, and the main wing is always flying. So it is incredibly safe. It is inherently safe because you cannot stall the main wing, you cannot spin it. Very cool feature of the aircraft. Coming around, we're gonna go inside the airplane a little bit. I always like talking about my helmet. We always wear a helmet while we fly for safety. And also, I used to fly without a helmet, and when I was pulling back for a loop or a half Cuban, as I came over the top pulling G, my headset used to always slide off the back. So we decided to go with a helmet, and we painted, everybody loves their paint job on their helmet. It's like a pride thing for a lot of pilots. And I love the paint job on this, because what we did is we took all the handprints from my kids and my wife. So this is my wife, my daughter, Miranda, Avea, Elijah, Bentley, and Tucker. And then me and my wife made a little heart with our fingerprints on there. And it's really cheesy and corny, but it's the last thing I think about every time I go flying and why I do what I do. So it keeps me safe, and I love my helmet, right? Of course, we've got, I got this, I know, performers, right? Everybody wants to steal the spotlight. Of course, when I got this airplane, I've had this plane for 10 years now. And I bought it for the sole purpose of doing air shows. This is not an aerobatic airplane. It was never designed to do aerobatics, but anything will do a loop and roll if you try hard enough, and I try really, really hard. But because I knew I wanted to do air shows with it, it was purpose bought. And when we got it, it was not really it wasn't that airworthy. And we basically overhauled the whole thing. Kind of like restoring an old car. We stripped this thing down to nothing. We replaced every nut and bolt, every single wire. We replaced the engine, replaced the panel, new paint job, new everything. The airframe was great when I bought it. Everything else was a little lacking, but we turned it into an air show machine. And part of that is we have to be able to get to the show no matter what the weather is. So we've got a really good glass panel from Garmin, dual G3X, Garmin 650. I can pretty much fly through just about anything. It still is a home built, so sometimes like they're still home built inside of it. There's some little pieces that still need to be touched up, but we're always working on it. We're always trying to make it a little bit better, and it's a passion project. It never really stops. Yeah, let's keep moving along. We do have a back seat. The wife or the kids will come with us to a lot of shows. If you notice, there is a placard in the back seat. It does say that it doesn't have an airworthiness certificate. It actually does have an airworthiness certificate, but a fun fact, in Canada, when this plane was built in '86, they didn't have certificate of airworthiness for experimental aircraft back then. So the placard was, you are operating without a certificate of airworthiness. It does have one, but I like the placard because it's historically accurate to when it was built. I think it's kind of interesting that back then it was just like, hey, it's an experimental, go do your thing. But now we've got a special C of A for what we do. Moving along, we decided that we put the smoke tank in the strake, the wing. We lost a little bit of our luggage, but we built our whole smoke system on this. I built the pump, I built the injectors, I built the line, I built everything. And when I say I built the pump, I took a 12-volt pump that had a good pump section, 12-volt with a good motor, and a 24-volt with a good pump, and I pulled them apart and I mashed them together, and I created my own pump system, and then I built my own injectors, and I just dump it into the exhaust, and that's what creates our smoke while we're flying air shows, is that we've got smoke oil. It's an environmentally friendly oil, meaning that it's non-carcinogenic, so that when we're breathing it in, it's not going to give us cancer, which is a good thing. And we just dump it straight into that hot exhaust, and as soon as it hits that hot exhaust, it vaporizes, and out comes the smoke, right? Kind of a cool thing. Moving along, we've got these fences on the wing here. This kind of helps the airflow over the ailerons, gives it a little better control on the roll, especially while we're doing our air shows. Keep coming around. One of the weird things about this airplane are the rudders. So the rudders work a little bit different than a normal airplane. Normal airplane, your rudder, your pedals are connected. In this airplane, your feet do not work together. They work independently. Each rudder is independent, and they only go out, right? So left pedal for the left rudder, right pedal for the right rudder. Press them both down, and they both go out, and it works like a speed brake. Really weird thing, but it's really kind of a cool feature of the plane. So if I'm ever going and doing formation, and I'm getting, like, if I'm coming in too hot, I can just hit the brakes. Or if you're in the pattern and you need your gear speed and you're going too fast and you can't crank, just hit the brakes. Just push on the brakes and you'll slow down. It's a really cool feature, really like it. A little bit different. It takes a little getting used to when you first go out and taxi and both pedals go down. It's a little weird, but you get used to it pretty quick. Moving along. Coming around to the engine, so Aerosport Power, we saw on the side of the airplane, Aerosport Power built this engine. I've been going to Aerosport Power since I was 12 years old. My dad did air shows. I'm a second generation air show performer, so I've been going to shows for 25 years now, something like that. So I'm 26 years old, right? Almost. And I love Aerosport Power, and those guys are absolutely amazing. They built me a very nice Lycoming IO 360, and we've got a couple little goodies done to it. We've got the SDS EFI, dual electronic ignition and electronic fuel injection. And I really like that because I'm an automotive mechanic. And not a lot of people know I'm an automotive mechanic by trade. And when I went to school for automotive mechanics, we didn't learn what a magneto was. We didn't learn what a carburetor was because it's just so archaic. In aviation, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we stay with these old technologies. And there's a good reason for it. Like, magnetos are tried, tested, and true, right? Like, if your whole electronic system fails, it'll keep going. But SDS has come up with a system where you can have dual electronic ignition, and we've built in the backups and the redundancy to give it a safety that is acceptable to fly, right? I've got 2 batteries, I've got 2 computers, I've got 2 programmers, and everything runs more like a car, which I really like. The redundancy is there to keep it safe, but I like it because I've got full control of my engine. I can go in and I can adjust the fuel trims per cylinder while I'm flying. Right? I've got 4 EGT, I've got 4 ECHT, and I can look at it and, okay, this one's a little bit hot, this one's a little bit cold, add some fuel here, take some fuel there. So I can port tune the cylinders while I'm flying complete control. And I can also adjust the timing on the engine while I'm flying as well. So if I'm flying up at 10,000 feet all the time, I have a second set of parameters in the programmer. And I can go, okay, I'm up to 10,000 feet. I want to go 2 more degrees advanced for a little bit better power at altitude, and pull back the fuel trims by 5%. I hit a button, boom, and it's running like I want it to run at 10,000 feet. Really, really cool, really neat feature. And it was all kind of done through Aerosport Power and SDS. Love it, love the engine, love the way it runs. But with the Long Easy, it's a weird airplane. And with some benefits, with some pros, there's some cons, right? We've got an airplane that is unstallable because we put the canard in the front, which is an absolutely incredible feature to have on a plane. But the downside is, with the engine in the back, we always have cooling problems. So no matter what you do, and we've got the big engine, we've got the 360. A 320 is really the perfect engine for this aircraft, but because we fly air shows, there's no replacement for displacement. We go with the big power, right? But we're taking all of that cooling air in on the belly, and we have to go like updraft cooling, so it's going reverse flow of what it's supposed to. So all that cooling air is going over the exhaust before it goes over the cylinders. So it really, like, that's the big downside to the Long Easy, right? And there's different ways to get around that somewhat. Like, some people will do a downdraft cooling, and they'll have like pocket intakes on the top. But the problem is, you go into a climb and the wing and the strake will block out those intakes, and you still have overheating on the climb. So it's just kind of, that is the major downside to this design, is having the intake on the belly. But we work with it, and the plane works just fine, but you have to be really cognizant of those temperatures while you're flying. That's the only thing. Everything runs just perfect. You just got to pay attention, which you should always be doing anyways while you're flying. We also have Cato Propeller. Cato does sponsor us. I love the Cato Propeller for a couple of reasons. One, they've been treating me amazing. But with a pusher prop, the nickel leading edge is very, very important. You got to think that nose wheel, when I land, it kicks up a lot of rocks and stuff like that. So having that nickel leading edge keeps that propeller safe. When I first got this, I had a couple different props, and I chewed them up a few times, and then I decided, you know what, Cato is the way to go, because they were the only one that offered the nickel leading edge to protect it. Made a huge, huge difference. I guess we'll keep coming around. I don't know if there's really much else that we need to be talking about on the plane. We do run Aero LED lights. I love the Aero LED lights because we do the night show. We're going to talk more about the night show a little bit later. We got some cool things that we do. We strap on a whole bunch of fireworks and blow them off the airplane. It's really quite fun. But the number one question I always get when I'm flying this airplane, when I'm at shows or fly-ins or whatever it may be, the number one question I always get is, why does it park on the nose? It's not always why does it park on the nose. Sometimes it's like, oh, did your landing gear break, or did something happen? Did you rip off your nose wheel? Or no, it's meant to park on the nose. It's a kind of a weird design. It's like a built-in parking brake. And with the engine in the back the way that it is, it's all that weight is back there, and when it's sitting level without the weight of the pilot in it, it can actually flip over backwards. Because this is a lifting surface, you pick it up at this angle of incidence. It doesn't matter how windy it gets, the angle is making it so that it sucks it down to the ground, right? The lift is pulling it down. But once it's sitting level, this is a lifting surface. You get a small gust of wind with that engine in the back, it'll flip over backwards. Kind of weird. So whenever we go flying, just set this aside, we have to physically pick up the airplane, and then we crank down the gear. But if I let go, at this angle here, if I let go of it, it wants to flip over, right? So you have to hold it down, and then it's like getting on a horse. I'm a redneck, I'm pretty blue collar, you know, mechanic and all. So left foot in the stirrup, swing the right leg over, and down in the saddle. And then we're in. Once you got the weight of the pilot in it, it ain't going nowhere until you start going down the runway. Really kind of interesting, a little bit different. But I love this little airplane. It's weird, it's funky, and it draws a lot of attention everywhere it goes. All right. And then when you get out, you gotta make sure you catch it, because if you get out and walk away and the wind picks it up, it's going. And there are two kinds of long easy pilots. Those who have dropped their airplane on the tail, and those that lie about it. And I've never dropped my airplane. All right, guys, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming for a quick walk around on my airplane while we're at this air show. And we got a little bit more to talk about on Pyro, but until next time, take it easy.